When the Great Recession hit in 2008 and 2009, Zane Hunt thought it would be a good opportunity to move his young family from his hometown of Detroit to Austin, Texas. His brother Brandon joined him about a year and a half later, and the two decided to launch a pizza concept. They called it Via 313, combining a phrase that means by way of and Detroit's area code. They knew they were going to make square pizza and ultimately settled on Detroit style to keep their roots in place.
We went through different iterations, like what kind of pizza we're going to make. We knew we were going to make what we call square pizza in Detroit at the time. Nobody was calling it Detroit style pizza at that point. But we thought maybe we would do Neapolitan with it because that was starting to have a boom at that point. I think that was like the opening fringes of what became a bit of a craze. We threw around a lot of ideas, but ultimately we settled on Detroit style pizza. And we haven't looked back. I mean, we've got 17 locations now.
Because Detroit style wasn't a big thing back in those days, trial was critical. The brothers credited their food truck for building awareness and trial in the Austin market.
And we knew if it didn't work that we could sell everything for 30 grand. So that was the trial out of the food truck. And from the first day, we knew we had to do $200 a day, and we did $214 or something. And we knew we were going to be fine because nobody even knew we were there. And we met our goal. And it was a low goal, but we hit it, and it just grew every day since.
The concept started in 2011 with that single food truck, but the brothers had a much bigger goal in mind, and that was to eventually open a brick and mortar location. First, they opened a second trailer on the other side of town with a different audience, which helped them build even more awareness. Together, the two trucks generated enough revenue to save for that brick and mortar, which opened about 3 years later and completely changed the dynamics of the business.
We added a second brick and mortar a year later and another brick and mortar about 2 years after that. So at that point, we have 2 trailers, 3 brick and mortars spread out around Austin. And we got to the point where we're like, okay, this is now officially the largest thing that we've ever been involved in.
The brothers met with some investment bankers, and about 3 years later, they landed an investment from Utah-based Savory Fund, whose portfolio also includes brands like Swig, Mobetta's, and Crack Shack. The investment allowed Via 313 to grow from 5 locations in the Austin market to 17 locations throughout Texas and Utah. As the brothers note, things needed to change before they could scale, and Savory was the catalyst to facilitate that change. That's not to say their priorities changed, however. They're still very much focused on Via 313's hospitality and Detroit roots, and they'll continue to be so as they grow the concept to 30 or so units in the next few years.
We're from Detroit. This is not a joke. This is in our DNA. This is what we do. We're not on this path to make a quick buck because it's a fad. This is really who we are. We grew up with this, right? So we get into what are we after? We want to be the best at what we do. I mean, we want to be the best at Detroit style pizza. We want to be known for being the best at Detroit style pizza. Now,